She sat in the courtroom, calm and confident. She truly believed she had gotten away with it and was about to walk free. So much so that she couldn't stop laughing. She felt entitled and untouchable. When the judge read the first words, "not guilty," she suddenly broke down, pretending to cry. In her mind, it was over. She was going home. She believed she had beaten the system. Even after the life of her boyfriend's 18-month-old son, Romeo Angeles, was taken. Prosecutors said it was driven by jealousy, resentment, and her desire to have a child of her own with him. Then, everything changed. The judge spoke again, and instantly the crying stopped. The fake tears vanished. In that moment, she knew she wasn't going home, not after what the court saw, not after what she did. She looked like any other ambitious young woman, smiling in selfies, wearing a pageant sash, and blending into everyday college life at Georgia Southwestern State University. From the outside, everything appeared normal. But behind that carefully polished image, 18-year-old Trinity Pogue made a choice that would change lives forever. Investigators would later say it wasn't a tragic accident. It was driven by deep resentment. Resentment directed at someone completely defenseless. Trinity had started a relationship with a young man named Julian Williams. Julian was a father, and his 18-month-old son, Romeo Angeles, was the inconvenient third party in their romance. According to friends and the evidence gathered by the prosecution, Trinity saw the child not as a family member, but as a roadblock. The situation had grown deeply troubled, not between Trinity and Julian, but in her behavior toward the baby. And by January 24th, that tension reached a breaking point. In the early morning hours of January 14th, 2024, Trinity was alone with Romeo in her dorm room. Julian was out. When he returned, the child was unresponsive and clearly in distress. Romeo was rushed to the hospital, but despite emergency efforts, he did not survive. At first glance, it looked like a tragic accident, a fall perhaps, or a sudden medical emergency. But the more investigators dug, the more the story didn't add up. The medical examiner concluded the child died from severe physical trauma. The injuries ruled out any accidental explanation and indicated intentional force. And Trinity Pogue, the last person with the child, offered a chaotic mix of lies. She initially claimed the child fell from a bed. Later, she changed her account, saying it was a fall from a chair. As investigators asked more questions, her explanations shifted and quickly fell apart. That's when prosecutors began piecing together Trinity's state of mind. She was jealous. She wanted Julian to herself. She wanted a perfect family, and Romeo was an unacceptable imperfection. She didn't just dislike the child. She saw him as an obstacle she had to remove. Officers finally arrested Trinity Pogue. She was processed and faced multiple felony charges connected to the death of a child. In the days that followed, she began her most important performance. The grieving, misunderstood, innocent defendant. In the courtroom, her emotions flickered. At moments, she sat calm, staring out into the gallery, almost eerily unbothered, like a bored spectator. But then, without warning, she'll laugh uncontrollably, unable to hide it no matter how she tries. Other times, she'll pretend to cry, dabbing her eyes with a tissue, then just as quickly regain her composure. It was a trial filled with contradictions, a calculated display of sorrow designed to appeal to the jury's sympathy. In December 2025, Trinity stood trial, facing multiple serious charges. Prosecutors argued that Trinity intentionally used a deadly level of force, arguing that she saw the baby as a rival and acted on that blinding jealousy. Trinity chose not to testify, but through her lawyers, she painted a picture of tragedy, claiming the incident was nothing more than an accident. Her defense leaned on emotion, portraying her as a young woman who had no reason to cause harm. They even suggested the father was somehow involved. It almost seemed convincing, like it might work. But then, her friend testifies, reading chilling text messages aloud in court, revealing Trinity's inner thoughts.
Why do I feel anger towards JD? Like earlier when we were in bed and JD kept touching Jay's face, I almost cried.
Your response to that was what?
What do you mean, like you feel anger towards JD, question mark?
And then her reply to you a minute later, what was what?
Like, I don't know, not jealousy, but like I want to love him, but instead of loving, I just feel like angry, like want to punch him. LMFAO, OMG, that sounds so bad.
Was there another message that came just a few seconds later from her?
Yes.
And what does that message say?
Ever since he's gotten here, Jay has not touched me.
And what did you say?
I said, I think he's just trying to take care of JD and make sure he has space and everything he needs. I don't think he's trying to come off as not wanting to touch you or be with you. But that's his baby, you know.
And then she replied to that about a minute later and said what?
Maybe it's just because he had a kid with someone else, and I'm just starting to realize that I can't be with someone who doesn't have my kid.
And then your reply to that was what?
I can understand where it may be hard to raise a kid who's not yours.
All right. So what was the message that she forwarded to you that she had sent to Jay earlier in that week or that day?
Read it aloud.
Please.
I've told you from the beginning that I would always try to love JD is the same as mine, but since me and you have gotten serious, every time I see him, I just get angry at the world, and I just have a gut feeling of anger. I don't know what it is. Maybe because I'm so young, and I know if I am committed to you, then I'm committed to him. You're 24 and I'm 18, and I know that the age difference isn't much, but you have a kid and you have more responsibilities than just spoiling me. I don't want to be your second baby mama. I wanted to be your first, but that won't ever happen, and I don't think that I can continue to be in a relationship with you and have that in the back of my mind.
Finally, the evidence of her multiple shifting stories showing a web of lies designed to conceal the truth. The courtroom fell silent, and the story Trinity hoped would set her free completely fell apart. In December 2025, former Georgia pageant queen Trinity stand in court to hear the verdict. When the judge reads not guilty for the first verdict, she believed her acting had worked. She broke down, pretending to cry uncontrollably. But then the judge reads the other verdicts, and that's when the world witnessed the quickest recovery from a fake cry. Her face went back to evil within seconds.
The verdict reads as follows as to each count. On count 1, it says, we, the jury, find the defendant not guilty. On counts 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, the verdict reads, we, the jury, find the defendant guilty. Of felony murder, 2 counts, aggravated battery, 2 counts, and cruelty to child in the first degree. Y'all can have a seat.
The jury declared that Trinity acted with malice and intent to cause injury, accelerating her rage toward the child as a deliberate mission. There was no medical emergency, no mistake, just a deliberate, selfish act. She was no longer composed, no longer confident, just a teenager coming to grips with the truth. She wasn't going home. The same confidence she once had, shattered. Trinity, who was just 18 at the time of the crime, was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 30 years.
On count 2, I sentenced the defendant to serve life in prison. And on count 6, I sentenced the defendant to serve 20 years in the state penitentiary. Those sentences will run concurrent.
Her fake tears were evident in court, but for the family of Romeo Angeles, justice had finally spoken. The case stunned the public. Social media was divided. Some felt sympathy for Trinity, a teenager whose life had spiraled out of control due to toxic jealousy. Others saw her as a deeply manipulative girl, someone who played the victim after causing a tragedy that cost a baby his life. The sentence ensured that Trinity Pogue will spend the best years of her life behind bars. But for the family of Romeo Angeles, the pain is immeasurable. They lost their innocent child to a woman who saw him only as a barrier to her happiness. This case reminds us how quickly selfish choices and unchecked emotions can turn fatal, and a community left wondering how a beauty queen could harbor such a monstrous secret. You've seen the footage, you've heard the story. Now, what do you think about her performance in court? Do you think the judge made the right choice by giving her the possibility of parole? Or should she have gotten a harsher sentence? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed watching this video, be sure to watch the next video on your screen. I'll see you there.